Like many others, you are almost certainly considering university as your only option. I'm here to try to convince you as much as I can to not go university, or at least avoid it for now. Now, to be clear, this video's purpose is not to throw shade onto universities. I will leave that for my next video. But more so, I'm here to uncover the advantages of other alternatives you may have not considered yet. To begin with, alternative number one is degree apprenticeships, or even apprenticeships in general. I'm in a good position to talk to you about this because I'm taking a degree apprenticeship right now myself. Apprenticeships are definitely going to require their own video, so I will make a separate one later. But for now, I'm going to try to give you a quick sales pitch on apprenticeships. I wrote down a few points on my laptop just so I don't miss any. So if you're wondering why I'm looking down there, that's why. So here we go. You get paid, you get real work experience, you are debt free, no loans required, your degree is paid for, you get offered a full-time job after the apprenticeship, meaning you don't need to compete with others looking for a job. You get a degree at the end if that wasn't enough. And I've skipped out on many advantages on that list because I'll leave that for my next video. The reason I like to recommend this route is because it's extremely high reward and low risk. Hypothetically, if you did pick an apprenticeship and you realize you don't like it afterwards, what's the consequences if you want to quit? Well, you're coming out with money earned. You know, that's such a big thing. Like, at least you can tell your parents, listen, I wasn't just wasting my time. And additionally, you can say to your next employer or, you know, wherever you go, that I've gained experience for this many months, this many years. With a university course, on the other hand, you can't come out of it and say, oh, I was working towards this degree, but I didn't actually get it, because that means nothing. And on top of that, you're coming out with debt. I don't know why you would actually leave your degree, but I guess there are situations where you might not like your course that much that you just leave the whole course. If you can't take my word for it, ask people who you know that have just completed their degree. Ask them what situation they're in terms of finding a job, in terms of competing with others. And a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, they're going to be struggling to find a job. Any job, that is, let alone find a job in their field that they've studied in. There are limitations, however, not big ones, but there are limitations to taking an apprenticeship as well. The disadvantages of taking an apprenticeship is, if it matters to you, you may be missing out on some of the typical university experience. And also, not all occupations have a viable apprenticeship alternative. For example, the medical sector. If you want to become a doctor, you're not really going to find an apprenticeship to become a doctor. Another disadvantage is, it is harder to get into a degree apprenticeship because obviously you're getting paid and there's a much more limited amount of space. Another big disadvantage that's going to stop a lot of people from taking a degree apprenticeship is the fact that it takes a lot to get into one. I'm not sure how it is for just normal apprenticeships, but definitely a degree apprenticeship, in my case at least, was way harder to get into than university. In my case, I applied to 5 universities. Alhamdulillah, got into them quite easily, and then when it came to degree apprenticeships, I applied to over 30 of them and I got rejected from so many. But ultimately, even if you do get rejected from everywhere, you do have to do proper interviews, meaning you're learning how to take proper interviews and how do you present yourself for a real job. So even in that, you gain real experience. The final disadvantage is persuading your parents. Now that might be a weird one, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's something that I had to struggle with, because an apprenticeship, degree apprenticeship, is not the normal route. It's a new thing, so it's hard to convince like your parents and your family to let you go do that. So that's one of the other disadvantages. I'm gonna stop myself there talking about apprenticeships because I love talking about and I'm gonna keep talking about, but a lot of people make a big mistake by skipping over it, so don't make that same mistake. Moving on to the next alternative, we got a gap year. A gap year is perfect for someone who doesn't know exactly where they want to go. For example, you're kind of split between becoming an accountant and aerospace engineer or something like that. I don't know. Trust me, you don't want to invest time and money into a degree you realize later on you don't even like. So what's the rush? A lot of people, they really want to quickly go into to a degree and relax, man. There's time. 1 year gap year, come on. If you really don't know what to do, and if you're really split with where you want to go in life, a gap year really is the option that you want to take. Genuinely, you can accomplish a ridiculous amount in 1 year. You can go get a job, you can go save up, you can do like saving up is a big thing because that means you don't need to take debt. That means you don't need to, you got something to work off at least. In that 1 year, you can discover more so where you want to be in life and where you want to go. And it doesn't even have to be 1 year. You might find out you don't want to go university after that. You might find out you want to go straight into work. Clearing up where exactly you want to go is a massive investment, because imagine you might be saving yourself going into the wrong degree, which is not just 1 year of waste, but it's 3 whole years. However, the limitation to taking a gap year is that if you're trying to string on from your previous education, which is most likely A-levels, then you may become a bit rusty with what you were learning at A-levels. But that's only if you become too lazy. Being lazy in itself is a disadvantage of taking a gap year. The last alternative that I'm going to recommend to you is going straight into a job. Most jobs do not even require a degree, so seriously consider whether your job even needs a degree. Before I end this video, I'd just like to address one argument for going to uni, and that's I want to go uni because I enjoy learning a certain subject. To those people, I would like to remind you the entire world is at your fingertips. I promise you, you do not need to go to university to learn creative writing or like the history of arts. Not to pick on those degrees specifically, but that's just to name a few. But there's not really much more for me to say here, so that's pretty much it.